Thank you for staying tuned to Smart 24 and this show, Smart Means Business. It's precisely 9:36 East African time here in East Africa. For those of you who are joining us in Nairobi, you're most welcome. For those who are joining us in Dodoma, we see you. For those of you who are joining us in Mogadishu, actually, we are seeing you as well in Somalia. For those of you who are joining us in Juba, and we are talking about politics and its effect on business. I've mentioned some of these areas, be it Mogadishu, be it Juba, be it Khartoum. The fact that whenever you don't have political stability, you can't thrive. Your economy can't thrive, your businesses can't grow, and generally people can't have the necessary opportunities occasioned to them. And it's sometimes unfortunate, and that's what we're talking about in this segment. How political policies affect businesses, not just in Uganda, but across the continent. Our guest was supposed to be Her Excellency Magdala Cooper, presidential candidate for Liberia, both 5 years ago and also this year. And unfortunately, she can't join us via Zoom. She was on a flight from one point to another, but we do have a bit of a video of her walk, her terrain. She's currently now in the private sector, but she's concentrated on business and shown how business is directly affected by politics. Godwin Batuma, if I can bring you in here.
Yes.
Her Excellency Magdala Cooper is one woman who needs no introduction, really.
Yes.
But she strives to ensure that she has some form or semblance of peace within Liberia, so that people can have some semblance of a good economy or a good business. Your take on what she's trying to do?
Obviously, we can see that Liberia has been at peace for over 2 decades now, right after 2 devastating wars that they have faced as a country. And for her to have come out of that, for the country to have come out of the many civil wars that they've been through over the years, it's such a huge step in the right direction. And I love what Magdala Cooper is definitely doing in being able to highlight the business sector, right? Because we're seeing here that of course, the country has held regular and peaceful elections throughout the years, and it has a very vibrant middle economy.
So actually, from the last 20 years or so, it has been growing.
Yes.
Once they ensured political stability.
Right.
So Liberia being, I think, a country that was not necessarily colonized. It was a country whereby American slaves were given land in Africa, and
right.
that's where they settled. Liberia and Monrovia in particular became the beacon of hope for African American slaves,
yes.
If I'm not mistaken, in the 1800s. And it's been unfortunate that that country has been unable to find peace for so long. And why we're talking about that is sometimes we take our peace for granted,
right.
Political peace, that is. When we're in Uganda, we have a lot of political peace. We have a semblance of normalcy. I can move from point A to point B, and I can carry out my business in peace.
Yes.
And people take that for granted.
Yes.
However, if you do not have good political stability, you're unable to do that. And Liberia is a key example of that. And that's why we're focusing on Her Excellency Magdala Cooper this morning. If we can have that small video of Her Excellency Magdala Cooper and the life she has led and how her politics directly affects business and private sector in Liberia.
And to our only female aspiring Republic of Liberia, you broke the glass ceiling for women in Africa again. Madam Magdala Cooper, should you be our next president?
So I'm just packing those things, my glasses, my phones, my things. Okay, so I'm good. Let's rock and roll it.
We are going to change the Liberia arrangement. We cannot continue to treat the children of their basic human rights.
studio with me. What you've been watching is a clip from Her Excellency Magdala Cooper's campaign and how she, as a leader in the private sector, has ventured into politics to ensure that there's some semblance of peace so that businesses can thrive. We're talking about the effects of political policies on businesses, on your business who's watching this morning. As we know, if there is political strife or political instability in your part of the world, it's very difficult for you to thrive economically. And that's why it's important for there to be that balance between politics and business. And of course, we've been talking about the political factors and those that are affected by political factors. Shortly, of course, we'll be bringing you back that clip with Dr. Magdala Cooper when it does become a bit better. And I think now you can see it briefly. Those are the young people in Monrovia this morning. And of course, you can see the challenges faced, and that is because of lack of political stability. Let us take this clip and let's listen in.
The young women, what makes you think that you can lead this country? I definitely can lead this country out of West Point, that for sure. Because that should not be happening to our kids. Wow, that's all I can say, wow. When I see the MCF student and what you guys are doing, I'm just in awe. Oh, man. The dream that I dreamt about, to see Liberian children now having to go outside to learn skills, but staying right here and learning skills that will go outside to When I meet these children, I talk to them and I hear their stories, I'm just so moved. I'm empowered because these are the solutions we need in Liberia. You want Kirio? I want cereal. Lulu, who gave me that funny?
Well, unfortunately, the network is not too good, but I think you get the point. Her Excellency Magdala Cooper is running for political office to ensure that they are beneficial political policies for the private sector and for people in business, which is very important. And we're discussing that today, the importance of political stability vis-a-vis business. Many a times we take, for those of us in Africa who are living in peaceful environments, we oftentimes take for granted the fact that the peace that we enjoy directly affects the businesses and the economies that affect us. So it's very important to make sure that political stability is intertwined with business in all aspects. Godwin, we were talking about Her Excellency Magdala Cooper's run for office, the fact that she's decided that, you know what, I need to run for office to ensure that there's some semblance of peace, so that I can ensure that the private sector is greatly supported. Yes. Your take on that? How important is it for political leaders to support local businesses?
It is very important, considering how rich Liberia is in natural resources, right? Liberia is one of the richest countries we have in Africa regarding natural resources, arable land. It's, of course, has a really hugely growing middle income society within Liberia, and believe it or not, despite the odds, they've been able to push through and build a really robust middle income, and they've been able to have regular elections throughout the past few years. But of course, one of the things that is still lacking is that instability, that lack of assurance, right? So we see the negative we see see here that Liberia remains one of the most poorest countries in the world.
Yeah.
So of course, one of the things Magdala Cooper is trying to do is come in and see how can we start to thrive and have a really robust economy, because that's an area that they might not have focused on too much.
Yeah.
And we see that infrastructure is still inadequate. Of course, purely as a result of the many wars they've had over the years, they've had poor infrastructure, and rebuilding as an economy is taking longer than it should. So we see that access to basic services such as electricity and healthcare still remain a big issue for them. And that's one of the reasons why you find that it's harder to bolster the economy. And of course, we still see, like we talked about worldwide, one of the issues affecting us here, the issues affecting them still is corruption, and that's a major problem with corruption, right? Where leaders still taking bribes, this is happening here, so there's no checks and balances, and that affects the economy as a whole. So the step that Magdala Cooper is trying to take is going head on, attacking it head on and saying, listen, with my political policies, my political prowess, and my business acumen, how can we have that synergy? And how can we start to thrive?
That is true. So the political factors affecting businesses this morning, and we've discussed that throughout the show with Godwin this morning, are bureaucracy at the corruption levels, are the tariffs, the trade control, the education, the education law, the antitrust law, the employment law, the discriminatory law, the data protection law, environmental laws, health and safety laws, competition regulation, regulation and deregulation, tax policies, tax rates and incentives, government stability and related changes, government involvement in trade unions and agreements, import restrictions on quality and quantity of product, intellectual property laws, consumer protection and e-commerce, laws that regulate environment pollution. So at the end of the day, all these are political policies that can affect both positively and negatively private sector and businesses as a whole, be they SME or be they large businesses. And it's important for a business leader who's watching this morning to be abreast with what the law has to say. In law we say ignorance is not a defense. So now we have so much information, be it online, be it in the newspaper, be it on television, be it on radio. Get yourself, if you're a business leader or business owner or SME owner, get yourself informed. Get to the nitty-gritties that govern your business.
That's really important, because we were just talking about it earlier with Andrew, what the business owners can do to advocate for themselves regarding these policies that they might not agree with. There's so many things you can do, especially now with the internet. We'll be able to have social campaigns. They're able to send out newsletters to the newspapers, be able to be involved in these meetings that happen. Have a mouthpiece. As his business owners, who is your mouthpiece? Employ business people who are professionals, like lawyers, understand what your policies are. Really do the research, right? It's important to keep yourself abreast, not only the business owners, but also the political leaders, because some of the political leaders aren't aware how those policies might affect business. And one of the things I love with what Magdala Cooper is doing is she's a businesswoman who understands policy, and she's able to bring both of those worlds together. So a lot of when the political leaders don't understand how the policy affects business in the country, they end up just blanketly implementing policies that might affect the business owners in the long run, right? Because they haven't understood business, or they don't have knowledge of business. Many of them aren't business owners in many respects, or know of it, but simply benefit in some ways because of corruption, but haven't really done the work and going down in the gutter to really understand, which is what I believe Magdala Cooper is doing, is understanding the business mind and understanding the political spectrum and how that can march together.
Okay. We're talking about politics and business, how together they're married and how together they're intertwined. You can't have successful business, you can't have a successful economy without political stability. So if you're watching in Africa this morning, we have some areas, unfortunately, in Africa that are still do not have political stability. It directly affects your economy, directly affects your business and your quality of life. It's important for governments, it's important for African people to strive for political stability in every way possible. At this juncture, let us take this quick video concerning Honorable Maria Matembe. She talks about her journey in politics, and she talks about politics vis-a-vis business.